there guys, this is me, Malorian, and I want to give you a little intro to Attack X. Now, this is a tournament that I went to in the past. It's based out of Kelowna in British Columbia, Canada, and is kind of the biggest event that happens in Western Canada. You know, we do a lot of things here in Alberta that we'd like to say, like the Blood and Gears that I started, which is a larger event, but Attack X is like the convention of Western Canada. If I didn't mention, it's put on by Nathan Bosa, and it has things like you go there and it has the 40K, it has the X-Wing, it's going to have the War Machine, and it's just going to be an awesome time. So it's a 3-day event, and during this one at least, it's going to be on the first day a Champions event, going into on the Saturday the Masters. I believe there's actually 2 rounds of Masters, so if you don't do so well, you can always drop out and join into the second one, and then on the Sunday, that's going to be either the last cut, basically, of the Masters, or past that, you're going to be able to go into a team event. So, I mean, event stuff aside, I just can't wait to get back to this place. You know, it's because of my wife going back to school, I just had to say, like, well, I just can't do these things for a while, and of course, like, new babies coming along and stuff like that, but now I can finally go back, and it's just one of these things that, you know, whenever I go to a tournament, that's fantastic. Whenever I go to a tournament in Calgary and see the other people there, that's fantastic. But whenever I can go off to British Columbia and see these people that, I mean, I just don't normally see, that's always just a new air. The whole thing where it's a larger event. I have all these friends that I have that normally I don't get to meet in person because they're just over, you know, across the mountains in a different province. So it's just so great to be able to go to something like this. I believe I've talked about before about the challenges about people in Canada getting to actually play against each other. It's a large place, and so like the idea of like somebody from Western Canada playing against someone versus Eastern Canada just doesn't really happen because we're so far apart, and we kind of have like this area in the middle where like not many people play. But even between like British Columbia and Alberta, because we have the mountains between us, it's not very typical that you get to play against each other. So people like Corey Doyle over there, where I might chat with him and we know about each other and all this stuff, we just don't normally get to see each other in person and actually get to play. And in this case, we actually get to do that. So I'm just like, it's just a great event for so many reasons, and I'm so pumped to go. So like, no matter how I do at the event, I'm just excited to go and just to have a blast of a time, and wow. So I'm sure with this, of course, I'm planning to do this a video first here, kind of talking about what my plans are going into it. I think I'm going to try taking some pictures as well, and then making some battle reports from it, so you guys should like that. And then after, on the end side, of course, I want to do like a post video thing, just talking about my experiences and how things went. Now, of course, I also have to balance this with the podcast. I believe that with the podcast Should Have Boosted, Mark and I are also going to be talking about like our thoughts going in and our thoughts after. So there might be a little bit of crossover here, but if you're looking for that 100% Malorian, that's what you're going to be getting here right now. So, talking about the Champions, this is one where I didn't actually plan for it that well. Of course, I'm really focused on my normal list that I've been practicing, and I've always been, of course, looking at some champion things, but not really super seriously. So it's probably not till a few days ago that's like, oh, I'm almost out of time. I better go and solidify what my lists are going to be. So for a long time, I've been a Cygnar and Mercenary player, but lately I've been really solidly with the Mercenaries. Like, I am playing Mercenaries 100% for the last... I don't know. I would say that since Mark III came, I've done 99% of my games with Mercenaries. So I'm pretty solidly a Mercenary player right now. And when I was looking at what you're allowed to take, it really kind of forced me down some certain ways. So for those who don't know about the Mercenary Champions, you know, ADR, basically the themes we're allowed to take is the Soldiers of Fortune, which is basically the Steelhead one. We have the Italian one, basically the pirate one, and then we also get the dwarf theme, the Hammer Strike. Now, we get 5 casters to pick from. So 2 of them are dwarves. We have Osram and we have Gorton. I also can take Rahera, and then I have Fiona, and then I also have McBain. So I looked at this, and I know like for a lot of people, Fiona is very popular. Osram is a very popular choice, but I've not actually been playing a lot of either of those casters. My main casters I've been playing so far, and I'll be talking about them when I get to the Masters list, has been Shay in Magnus 2. So yeah, that's neither of them are in Champions, so I have to kind of like really change over my list. So really, I'm going to get to it again when I get to my Masters, but my Champions Fiona list is basically my Shay list with just a small tweak. So what my Fiona list is going to be is Fiona. It's going to be in the Italian theme. She's going to be running a Blockader and a Scallywag. And I know a Scallywag doesn't get all the things with her. It doesn't have the extended control range. It doesn't have the +5 threat that you get with Shay. However, there's still a lot there, you know. It doesn't get the +5 threat, but if I do Beguile or Befuddle, what it is that she has, I can move something closer, and so that's really like a +3 type of threat. Plus I can also turn around, so I don't need to try to hop behind to try and get that bonus. And, you know, I always find in my list with all these pirates, I need to get a little bit more punching power. So I don't feel too bad having the Scallywag in there. Anyway, I also have the Bosun, the Doc, 2 River Raiders, Max Press Gangers, Min Press Gangers, Max Sea Dogs with walls and 2 rifles, and then 2 max unit of Sea Dogs, and then a Dirtseers unit. So lots and lots of dudes. Go get them. And then of course with Fiona with her feet and stuff. But the thing is that I've only actually practiced this list once. Again, I have been doing a lot more with Shay. I've been really liking Shay, but this whole Fiona thing, when I first started trying her out with some other types of lists, it just didn't really work out for me. I was like, wow, this is so cool, there's so many things I can do, but there's only so much focus I have. You know, I'd love to go and see like, okay, for this target, I'm going to turn you around, I'm going to go and take off your upkeep, and then going to -2 armor. And then you look at your focus, and you're like, oh, I have to cast this and boost, and then this and this, and then the Jack I want to go after needs focus as well. Oh, I can't really do these things. And so ever since then, I kind of like just put Fiona aside. So we'll see. It shouldn't be too hard. I think I'll be able to play this fairly easily, but yeah, that's the one list. Now, the one I'm going to pair this with is a Drake McBain list, and this one is going to be in Soldiers of Fortune. Sorry, my throat's a little bit off there. So in this one, it's going to be Drake McBain with a Silas, Blockader, Nomad, Freebooter, 2 Tauros, Anastasia, 2 Steelhead Arcanus, and then Iris and the Steelhead Cav. And this list is really more pushing the assassination and attrition. So whereas the other one's really all about scenario, and it's probably going to be my primary list, this one, what it wants to do is I'm going to be putting up countermeasures up onto the Cav, feeding on them to make them super mega tough, rush them up there, lock everything down, and then basically the Jacks are all there behind, be like, all right, let's do this. And there's a lot of assassination potential there. With Jackhammer and several spots here for knockdown, I can very easily kill your caster. So if you want to go with the whole pivot and sweeper thing, I mean, the sweeper is all the dudes with Fiona getting in your face, and then the pivot is this McBain list that I feel that people just won't really know what to do with, won't know what to really expect, and then it has a lot of little tricks in there that I can catch people with. So that's going to be my champions list. Do I think I'm going to win it all? Of course not. That's not going to happen. I just want to have a great time on that first day. You know, if I win more than I lose, going 3-1, fantastic. If I go 2-2, I won't lose any sleep. This will probably be a fun first day where I'm drinking and just saying hello to everybody and having a great time. So then we're getting into the Masters, and in the Masters I would really like to do a lot better and try and get into the top group that goes to the second day. So the first list, and I might as well just do this one first because I've already talked about it and we're almost sold you the whole list, and that's going to be that Shay Pirates list in the Italians. which is almost exactly the same, except I get one more rifle. So again, that's Shay, a Blockader, a Scallywag, Bosun, Doc, 2 River Raiders, Sea Dogs of the Walls, 3 rifles now, double Max Pirates, Dirt Seers, and Max Pressgangers, and a Min Pressgangers. And this is just all the dudes in your face. It is crazy. In some games, I can actually, on my first turn, back up and then pop my feet and just get in there, because that walls unit can threaten charging 16.5 inches, and if I just want to run and jam, well, that's 19 inches of just like go, go, go. And the other big thing in the Shay list that really catches people off guard is just the Phantasm on the Blockader is huge. You know, like, whereas a lot of times if you have a Colossal, you just have to realize you're going to be taking a lot of shots, and you better hope that you have enough armor or mechanics to keep it going. But Phantasm saying that you're -5 range, a lot of times I can be a real big bully with that Blockader and be like, okay, you can't shoot me. I mean, one of the things that I'm really expecting to see a lot of is Sloan. And even Sloan is going to have a hard time in this matchup, because what I can really do is like move up the Blockader so that nothing can really get in range of me. Or I can always like leave something, like a couple of things in range, and then keep everything else back out of the threat, and then all of a sudden it's go, go, go time, and everything is in your face, and there's just a lot of threat there. Sorry, again, my throat. And again, the Scallywag here in this list having the 17-inch threat and real assassination threat here is just fantastic. But I mean, even if we're not talking about assassination, just getting all the dudes in the face, there's so many things here to score scenario. It has just been a fantastic list that I've been having a blast with. So it's just one of those things where it's like a control scenario type list that really plays to my play style, that also has a lot of, every single time I play it, I kind of discover something a little bit more new that I can do with it. So there's that. Now, what I'm going to be pairing with that is my favorite caster, Magnus 2. This one's going to be in irregulars. I really played with this list a lot, trying to figure out what to do with it. And I'm also, this is where I'm going to be having in the Swabber, which I'll talk about in a second. So it's going to be having Magnus in irregulars, like I said, a Blockader, Double Toro, Nomad, Swabber, Orin, Ragman, Anastasia, Tinker, Bamfist from Riot Quest, Gorman, and then Kayazi Eliminators. Now, when I was playing around with this list, I really wanted something where I could empower, because I always have a hard time having enough focus to make it efficient. However, if I go to those other things, like if I go to Steelheads, you know, the Soldier of Fortune or something, or Kingmaker, the issue is that I don't have the good units to be scoring zones, and the Kayazi Eliminators are so good for that. So I really felt that I wanted to go here. Plus, what it also means is that to go first, I'm getting +1 to go first, re-rolled. So my odds of going first with this list extremely high. I can be very aggressive, push up, and just the alpha on this is amazing. And the thing about this list is that it's just a very aggressive scenario list. So whereas the Shay one is just like dudes, and then while I'm doing this, I have all these pieces to score in a Blockader that's kind of threatening you. What this is like, no, there's not the dudes. There's just like a bunch of jacks. They're going to punch the hell out of you. And then, by the way, while you're trying to fight this, I'm scoring things as well. And it just does so well. Now, when I say it does so well, I've also lost a few games with it as well. And typically what kept on happening is that when I get up there, there's just a lot of knockdown. And so Magnus, even though he's a pretty beefy guy, gets knocked down, gets shot up, and then he dies, and then the whole thing falls apart. So even like in some games where like you're locked down, you can't get away, the Blockader is like within 5 inches of your caster, I get knocked down, I get shut up, I get killed. So that's why the Swabber is there. And I've really had a hard time because the Swabber, it's hard for me to spend the points of a Toro onto something that's only going to be a POW 15 stabby, and one of its biggest thing is a harpoon that's like POW 12 in a hermit world where if your harpoon doesn't do damage, also known as the hermit just saying nope, then it doesn't do anything. But at the same time, it's a shield guard, it protects you from knockdown, it protects you also from blast damage, and even though in other lists I've tried having the freebooter in that role, and so there's no knockdown, the freebooter really wants to be further up and throwing things, and so a lot of times I find the positioning isn't really working, so I just want to dedicate. And as well, that shield guard sometimes is just huge. You know, just trying to stop that one critical shot that's going to wreck everything can mean the difference between life and death. And I mean, at the end of the day, you know, he still has that one POW 14 from his shield gun. He's still going to get work done. I have a Ragman in there, so it's really going to work out to a POW 17. You know, that spear threat, the harpoon threat could be something there, and so I just really feel that needs to be in there. I haven't played a lot of games since I've put him in there, but since I have, I've been really happy with that list. So anyway, I'm planning to go in there with that. I want to go into the Masters. I want to do well. Like I said, I want to do so well that I get to the next day, on the Sunday. So that means I won't be able to do the team event, but you know, again, am I thinking I'm going to win the Masters? No, I don't think I'm going to win the Masters. I wouldn't expect to see like any headlines about that. But again, I want to be there and I want to do well. Something about talking about doing well, there's actually a lot of us from Alberta going to this, and some of the people have been a little bit chicken about it, but there's kind of like a little deal right now that whoever does the worst in Champions and in Masters has to wear a shark suit. And there's been some discussion about whether you have to wear, like if you lose a Champions, you have to wear it to the Masters, or will it be to the big Blood and Gears event here? I don't know how that's going to go, but we'll work that out. But there's things on the line. All of us Alberta folk are kind of like, all right, let's try and raise these stakes here. So either way, it's just going to be a fantastic time. I'm going to be driving down there with Mark. It's an 8-hour drive type thing, so there'll be lots for us to talk about. But yeah, I am super pumped. So I'm going to hopefully take at least a few battle reports from that. There'll be lots of content, and yeah, great times for everyone. So there you go. If you have any comments about my list or how you think I'm going to do, please post them down below. But otherwise, we'll catch you later. Bye.